Okay, so this installment of the Joe Knowledge series is going to be a 9-line medevac. There is a lot of knowledge that's going to be put out through this video, so be prepared to take notes. This is a very critical skill to be able to get a medevac moving and get your wounded out of any area. You will be tested and checked on this frequently, so make sure you take good notes. So let's go over what all of the lines are of a 9-line, and then we'll break each one down individually, and we'll go over the nuances of each one. So you have location, frequency of the call sign, patients by precedence, equipment, patients by type, security at site, method of marking at site, patients by nationality, and then NBC, or in peacetime, you would have terrain description of the pickup site. A lot of people use different acronyms to try to remember all of these lines. I think the most common one is low-flying pilots eat tacos. Some might prefer nachos. Whatever works for you. That one's done me pretty well. You need the first 5 lines of the 9-line to get a bird in the air. Those are the most critical pieces of information that they would need to mobilize. So let's go through each line individually, break it down, and get into what a 9-line actually is. Okay, so the first line, it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be location of the pickup site. This is not the location that you currently are when you're calling in the 9-line. This is going to be the location of the medevac. So if you have, a good clear area for a bird to land, where an LZ is, maybe you have something else set up at some kind of fob, and that's going to be the location for your pickup. Just remember, it's not the grid that you're at, it's the grid where the bird is going to land. Obviously you want to give the most accurate grid possible. Don't give a 4-digit grid, get an 8 or a 10 for the location that you're going to be. And that's line 1 is going to be location of pickup. Line 2, real easy. It's your frequency of the call sign. This is so that the bird knows what frequency to use to communicate with you directly once they get closer to the pickup site. So your third line is going to be patients by precedence. And what they mean by this is what kind of time frame are they working with the patients that you have. So you have urgent, means you need to get them out of there in the next 2 hours. You have priority, means I need to get him out of here in the next 4 hours. You have routine, means, hey, this guy's good for a whole day, 24 hours, but he does need to get out of here. He needs medical attention. And then you have convenience. And at their convenience means there's no real threat to life. We can sustain with this individual, with these patients' injuries for the time being until you have the opportunity to medevac them. So again, patients by precedence, urgent, priority, routine, or convenience. So line 4 is going to be special equipment. And this is your opportunity to let them know anything that you may need that, to care for this patient in the immediate. And you could say none. Maybe you need a hoist. You're not going to have a great spot for the bird to land, or even like one of those jungle extractors that punches through the trees, to throw them in there and get them out because you can't actually move them to a decent landing zone. Maybe they need a ventilator. Maybe they're going to need some type of more rigid skid than what you have out there. Any equipment that they're going to need to bring with them to get your patients out of there. How many of those equipment they need as well if you're dealing with any kind of mass cast situation. Okay, so line 5 is going to be patients by type. What they mean by type is ambulatory or litter. And those are your 2 options, okay? Ambulatory means that patient can actually walk. They can move themselves. They're going to be able to, get to the bird or get to the medevac under their own power. A litter means that they're not walking. They're not taking themselves anywhere, so they're going to need equipment to get them there. That is your patients by type, and that's line 5. Those 5 lines will get the bird in the air, but we're going to continue now because you eventually will need to provide all of the information possible. Okay, so line 6 is going to be the security at the pickup site. And what they mean by this is not that you're providing security, it's you're trying to convey to them what the enemy's situation is. So your options for this are no enemy, possible enemy, enemy troops are in the area, or armed enemy at pickup site, armed escort needed. This lets them know that, how hot is this landing zone that they're coming into? How much control do you have? How secure is it? Do they need to be more prepared for a fight when they're coming in? So that is line 6, and that is security at pickup site. All right, on to line 7. Line 7 is method of marking at the pickup site. This lets them know, what are you going to have a visual cue to where they need to go at the pickup site? Your answer may be none, but it could be VS-17 panels, smoke, pyro, whatever it is. You want to give them the general answer of what your method of marking is, not the exact answer if possible. And what I mean by that is, okay, you're going to say smoke. Okay, you're not going to say purple smoke. Even though you're going to throw purple smoke, you're only going to tell them smoke, because later when they communicate with you directly, which goes back to now they have your frequency and they're communicating with you, and you say method of marking is smoke, and they're going to say, Roger, we see purple smoke, you're going to say, Roger, purple smoke. The reason that you do that is because if you say immediately, hey, I'm marking with purple smoke, and the enemy somehow has that transmission and they're able to hear that, they're going to they could throw purple smoke in a completely different area and, bring your medevac straight into an ambush. So you want to give the general answer for your method of marking, not the exact answer for your method of marking. So line 8 is going to be your patients by nationality and status. So you could say, U.S. military, U.S. civilian, non-U.S. military, non-U.S. civilian, enemy. It's going to be it's just the description of who they're going to be caring for. Okay, and your last line is going to be your NBC line, nuclear, biological, or chemical threat. You're going to let them know if, they need to be rolling in and what MOP level they need to be in because there was, some type of gas used or anything like that. There may be no NBC threat. In peacetime, or should you have to call a medevac in stateside or something like that, you're going to give them a terrain type description for line 9. So if NBC doesn't apply, then give them a terrain description. Wouldn't hurt to give them the terrain description if NBC doesn't apply and you're in a hot area as well. But anytime that you're in a peacetime or peacefully operating setting, you're not even going to bother giving an NBC. You're going to go straight to the terrain. And so that right there is the full value of the 9 line, what each line means. Location, frequency of call sign, patients by precedence, equipment, patients by type, security at the site, method of marking, patients by nationality, and then NBC or terrain. That's the 9 line. I hope you took good notes. This is one you're going to want to review. You're going to want to get proficient at spitting the 9 line. Even if you can't break down every single line, you need to know the order of them. You need to know what each line means so that you could somehow roughly be able to communicate this. This is, again, one that you really need to focus on, really need to learn, and you're going to be tested on it a lot. So know your 9 line.